Okay, so setup-wise, pretty good to be fair. There's nothing really major sort of worrying about that, okay? You are nicely behind the golf ball with the driver and setting up decent. Grips looking good, okay? So all good on that front, okay? So takeaway was decent. Again, it goes a bit long in the backswing because you sort of tilted a little bit. So that club now, you can see you've got a little bit on the longer side. Elbow's kind of pulling back, almost like a bit of a lean.
Be more into my
It should be a little bit more, not necessarily down, but your elbow wants to kind of stay a little bit more here. You tend to go like that and pull it back. I wouldn't worry about that too much in terms of what the elbow's doing. If we can maintain your head behind the ball, it will help that sort of stay there. The reason why it's going there is because your head's going this way. It's kind of, it stands to reason to do that. If I was just back here, the elbow would kind of pull in. So I think it's easy to think about where your body's going and a bit more tilt rather than trying to pull a joint in at the last second, because that's going to be quite tricky, okay? So this backswing, again, getting behind the golf ball there, you haven't really thought about what your elbow does, but you can see now you're in this to be an ideal spot. You go back a little bit further, okay, here, but in terms of the amount of bend in the body, it's a more tilted back position here, okay? Now, as you come back into impact, okay, the club now you can see sort of through your right shoulder area here. So this is a bit sort of steeper on this angle, okay, coming to the golf ball. This one here now you can see is coming a bit more through your right kind of bicep, tricep area. So it's a little bit lower down. It's moving towards the path we want to try and get. As we then come further down into impact, you'll see your shoulders, because of your backswing and that lean you had and your head getting in front, your shoulders now are already leveled off and the club's nowhere near impact. Then as you come into impact now, just past impact, your shoulders, you can see, are aiming left here, okay? You're a bit kind of on top of that golf ball, pulling it way to the left. Now, if the golf ball, or the golf club, should I say, is open, because it was before, we get that shot, If we have the club face now, which has been better, we get your low pull shot to the left, which I think is what you're probably hitting more on the golf course, okay? And that can lend itself to looking like a top shot. It's not a top shot, you're just hitting it low left with no loft, So look at the difference in terms of impact on the right-hand one now as we come into impact. I'll go back a frame, sorry. That's impact there. Club's coming down now. Much more daylight between your left and right arm. Just look at the difference in your body position now before impact, That's just before impact there. You can see there's a nice bit of daylight between your shoulders now are lined up. There's a gap between here, so you're more into this position, that way, as opposed to that way. So you're able to start the ball more online. Even just after impact now, your shoulders are still squarer than they are on that left-hand side. And as you swing through, elbows down, body releases and rotates, club head now over your shoulder in a position where you said you've never really been before. As I said, okay, on this one, we lost a little bit of balance post-impact. But again, generally speaking, the angle this club is swinging on now is so much more efficient. The club is missing the head cover, coming back down more on that path, giving the ball a solid hit, as opposed to coming outside the line and almost effectively glancing blow across the golf ball, and we've had a couple, and again, I'll be honest and say I wouldn't expect to have it in the sort of first session today working on this new thing. You've had a couple of push draws that started right of target and done that, which are going to go further, That ball's going to land on the ground with a bit more sort of bounce and release, rather than sort of coming in the ground, going, floaty, and then dribbling off the side,
Okay.
So you gained, well, you had a couple over the 150 marker, which for you had never been that distance before. No. And in all truth, the two you did get over 150, one you slightly lost balance and one wasn't quite the best strike you could do. So there is potential to, dare I say, 160, 165, and you're getting the nice sort of firm fairways now coming into whatever summer we ever have, 175, 180. So that's something a massive difference, You've gone from sort of like topping it 100 yards or less to hit it 175, 180.
Oh, I've topped it at 50 yards.
I've been polite. All right. But you can see definitely how you're going to get more energy now into the golf ball. So the feeling for you now, again, the elbow will do its thing on the way back. If we focus on the body and getting a bit more behind the ball or keeping your head behind the ball, again, you can see here with the shadow, which is a good indication. There's the shadow of your body there now. It's staying behind the ball. We've got to keep it back there as best we can as we start coming down. You still tend to move a little bit that way, but the feeling of staying behind will help get that club working shallower into the golf ball, which is definitely what we want with the driver. And getting that club missing the head cover. And like I say, now your club is releasing better. Your arms are folding up as we did. You can do that drill where you stood there, put the club in your left hand here. So left arm's out there, club down on the ground there. There's my good golf club. And then you sort of swing with your right arm, but the feeling of that right arm working underneath. But when you do it, as we said,
Shake hands.
shake hands with the target. Your first instinct there, Fiona, was to put the palm up. Exactly, yeah. Which is a lot of people are almost pushing the ball to target, yeah? And you see when you do that how your right shoulder just works a bit differently.
Yeah.
If you go with your right arm this way, it tends to tilt you this way as opposed to kind of that way. So that's going to be a good drill to practice that. And even just doing that for sort of 2 or 3 minutes as you did, you suddenly got that release of that club really well. Yes, initially they were going to the left because your path was still going left, and then you release the club, you get that shape.
Yeah.
Then you put the head cover there, got the path working this way, hitting more efficiently, more power. So yeah. Very good. Right, let's have a couple more then.